what's happening. I don't know why this keeps crashing. I'm really just gonna troubleshoot the mess out of this after and figure it out. But we'll speed this along. We'll get through Ant-Man and then
say I'll look into it some myself. I'm gonna warm up some food after this, and I'm gonna look into some stuff.
Yeah, I need some food too. I need nutrients to deal with this. I mean, oh my god. This is really this is getting on my nerves. This is getting under my skin. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, I wonder what the world it is, cause like,
I don't know, but it's making me mad. I'm sorry, you guys. I apologize that this keeps crashing, but bear with us until I fix this.
I'll tell you, Venom.
It's Venom, yeah. It's the being AI wreaking havoc upon our stream, seeking vengeance. Yeah.
Big Venom.
Big Venom M. Venom and M. Anyway, so you liked the movie. What did you like about the movie?
It just
Ant-Man.
wasn't a bad movie. It had funny moments, had a good amount of
What funny moments? Give me one funny moment that you remember.
So like they weren't hysterical moments, but like
now
the
you're
one
qualifying.
dude,
Give me a funny moment.
He was like, "How many hoes do you have?"
I hated that shit.
I was like,
I hated that shit so much. The gooey guy.
And then at the end, he was like, "I have hoes," and then he like swallowed the people. And then when MODOK was like, "My name's Darren, and I'm not a dick," and he like came to save the day.
That was even worse. That was the worst part of the whole movie. Forget his terrible CGI. Forget that he looked like a Snapchat filter the whole time. Let's forget all that.
George Lopez and Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I did see that comparison, but you know what's bad about that comparison is that George Lopez looked better in that movie. That's what's bad. How on a $200 million budget for a movie in 2023 is George Lopez from 2008 or whatever?
Yeah, maybe like 8.
Gonna look better. How does that make sense? It's like y'all want to maybe explain. So a big problem with all this is fatigue, special effects, studio fatigue. They're not given enough time to finish all their projects at once. These movies are all competing against one another. I read a few articles detailing how Black Panther kind of got priority over this, and a lot of the same effects houses and studios had to divert a lot of their resources to that movie because it was just more of a priority. There was more on the line with that after Chadwick Boseman's death. They're going to make more money off of it. Everything,
they could have waited though. Black Panther just came out. They could have waited.
I know they sure could have, but they didn't.
And we waited a year for Endgame. Yeah. Everyone waited a year for Endgame. Hot, just waiting.
Yeah, but we paid the price with this movie because they kind of just pushed it away.
They're so impatient. What are you so? It's because their stocks are going down. I know because I have one. Disney
really?
Stocks are not going up.
Well, it's probably because of all their shitty Disney Plus shows. Like, when's the last good Disney Plus thing you remember? I mean, it's really like an embarrassment of a streaming service, in my opinion.
Bruh, I heard they're making an Inside Out 2. I'm gonna see that. I saw the first one in theaters. My friend, she went with me. And she was like, "I'm not gonna see a kids show with you." But then she came and she's asking me like 21 questions, and I'm like, "Bruh, I haven't seen this, but I want to. If you could."
Yeah, I didn't even see that. It's with all the emotions, right? And all that. Okay.
It's such a good movie.
So, well, they have good properties, and that's the only reason why you get Disney Plus is to see like the existing properties, right? That you love, all the Pixar movies, whatever. But I mean, like, what's the last good new thing you saw? All these Marvel shows are starting to really like go down the doo-doo drain. Miss Marvel, whatever that show was, that was kind of
I
It
thought
was
Miss Marvel was straight.
it
It
was
was a
it
little
was good,
different
but it's
than
like
I
it
thought.
wasn't like crazy good.
Yeah, yeah.
Hawkeye, that shit was terrible. You have to be
I
5 years old
finished
to
it.
have enjoyed Hawkeye.
I finished it. They
And the special effects budgets on the shows, extra bad. The best special effects I've seen in one of those shows so far, maybe was the Captain America and Winter Soldier, Captain Falcon, Winter Soldier.
yeah,
That was pretty good,
that's
but people had issues with the story on that and the engagement through the whole show. So there's that. They all just seem to fall short really big in one or two aspects. That kind of like that doesn't make it feel like this big budget thing that it should be. They're really trying to put out the most anticipated products with the least amount of work to scrape by with making, just making like barely any profit for no reason. It started in a way where they could put in minimal effort and get a huge turnout and make insane money off of it regardless. But now, like you said, the stocks are falling. Now it's kind of like put up or shut up time. This next movie, whatever the next movie is, Blade, whatever it's going to be, it needs to really, y'all have to knock this out of the park, or else this Ant-Man movie for me marked the beginning of the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as I knew it, as I've come to love and anticipate all these movies. I saw Thor, the last Thor, at home on Disney Plus. I missed it in theaters. I'm so glad I wasn't trapped when I saw that. I'm so glad I missed that shit, and because that would have been the first movie I ever walked out of. If I saw that shit in a movie theater, if I had to hear one more dumb fucking goat scream and see those bad special effects on the big screen, I would have lost my mind. I would have wasted $15 and I would never be the same.
no. The only door I've seen. Guess the only door I've seen. Guess.
What, the second one?
No, the good one. That's the only one I've
Oh, the
seen.
Ragnarok.
Yeah,
That's a good movie.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen.
That's a good
I
looking
have.
movie.
I'll never watch any of them. They can make a door 17. I'll never watch it.
Do yourself a favor, skip this most recent one. It was god awful.
I didn't even watch the first two. I ain't got no business watching
Not
for
even
it.
Christian Bale could save that shit. There's one point where there's like a hologram of a kid, like he's trying to communicate with Thor or whatever from a different place. And that hologram looked worse than like Star Wars, but it wasn't trying to be. Like this shit looked like like a TV, like an M&M commercial version of a movie.
Stop,
Yeah.
yo. Because some of them things looking a little.
Thor's hammer in that movie, or his axe, whatever he was using, that shit looked so fake. And it's like, like the way the M&M lady looked, how she was standing there kind of like shifting, moving, because it's not quite still. That's how everything looked. That is how every single fucking thing looked in that last Thor movie. It's like, it's kind of there, kind of not. This uncanny valley thing. Is this real? Is this not real? What am I looking at? Is everything having a little bit of a seizure right now, or am I crazy? And Ant-Man, for me, it just dropped so many balls. So many balls.
But the girl had the suit and then she turned giant.
Fuck that girl,
then,
too. I mean, just no chemistry whatsoever with any of the cast. Like, I had no appreciation for anybody. Like, I didn't give a shit about anything anyone had to say about anything in relation to anyone. Bill Murray came out of nowhere. That was a big teaser for what? So that he could sit down for 2 seconds. I mean, like, he barely even made any jokes whatsoever. It all seemed the Bill Murray cameo in this movie was how the whole movie felt for me. It felt forced. And it felt like something bigger was supposed to happen here that just never did.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought there'd be more to it. It would have had to been a longer movie though. But it's like, I don't know.
It was forced from the viewing experience, the special effects falling short at so many points. There's one point where Michelle Pfeiffer's petting that avatar flying thing, you know, like the manta ray that they're riding on. She's petting it, and her hand is like I thought she was gonna fall into it, like her arm was gonna go through it, because she was not like. There's a way to do that shit. She was not touching anything. Like she was doing her best to pantomime, you know, and to like good space work, whatever. But she was like petting a thing right here, but she was just like, where is it? It looked like she was going for a weapon.
No.
It looked like she was looking for like a baseball bat or something, you know? Like she was talking to them, but she was in danger and she didn't want to avert her gaze, but she also wanted to reach for the nearest weapon she could find to get the fuck out of this movie, because she realized how ridiculous that shit looks, or it's gonna look. She's like, what am I supposed to be touching? Is there a thing here? Can you guys at least tell me what it's called?
She's trying to summon Door's hammer.
And they're like, just kind of put your hand back there, do a little bit of one of these, and we got it.
Oh my god.
That is the entire movie for me. And the jokes, insufferable. Oh, let me just say what I did appreciate about the movie. What I did like, Paul Rudd was exactly the same as he's been in all these movies. His performance was like the most consistent. What's his name? What's the Wall Street guy? What's the Michael Douglas? He was good. He was the same as he's been. I appreciated him. I liked Michelle Pfeiffer. I did, but I felt like she didn't know what the fuck was going on, or like I felt like she had no direction whatsoever. The only direction they gave this lady, and the only aspect of her character in this movie that she had to work with, was that she couldn't tell anybody anything for the whole movie. I can't explain right now.
She was so good at keeping a secret, though.
I can't explain. I just can't. Why can't you explain? Because I can't. Damn it. If you know, then we might be able to get out of here. So I can't. Why should I explain anything? Because it would be helpful? This shit doesn't make any sense. That is the most boring plot device ever. That's like the most boring, lame-ass, thoughtless trope ever. I mean, okay, I'll give you like maybe the first 2 times, but you say you can't explain some shit for a 4th time, and I want my money back. Explain something, damn it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Y'all are in danger. And then what else does she do after that? I mean, like nothing. She doesn't do a damn thing after that, but get lost and get... I just don't...
Does she? I think she knew where she was going, kind of.
But you know who did even less?
Who?
The Wasp. Where the fuck was the Wasp this entire movie? In the title, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
She was shooting people.
She was shooting people at like the middle end to the tail end of this movie.
No, she shot people at the little club joint too.
Oh my gosh. I just...
No, my thing too, I was like, how come her parents don't have suits? I was like, didn't her mom go there with a suit or no? Like, I don't know.
My thing too, how come the daughter didn't have that suit ready to go from the jump? She's just out there. She's just out there wondering, letting her dad protect her.
Oh damn!
When they're like in danger, you're in danger. Your adrenaline kicks in.
She wanted to hide it from us. She didn't want to confess.
It doesn't make any sense. Why are you hiding some shit when you're in danger? There was a lot of shit that just didn't make sense. A lot of trying to like
trusted her father to protect her.
A lot of roundabout justification type shit. I should not have to work to understand the movie's logic. I should not have to work. I understand if something's thought provoking and, you know, like I have to put some things together to arrive at the desired, you know, outcome to get to the finish line. Like Inception, I'll never understand Inception for a second of my life. I don't think until I die. I'll never understand what the fuck happened in Inception. But I appreciate that it's because I'm not smart enough to understand. Okay. This movie felt like it was too dumb for me to try to understand. It was beneath me. That's what this movie felt like. It was beneath everybody because when we got up at the end of this movie, everybody in the Alamo Draft House that we were at, everybody who got up in that movie theater looked like they had been sexually assaulted. They were all holding their backs, stretching a little bit, wondering how bad the bleeding must be because they had just been defiled in the worst way possible. To different levels, each and every one of them. Some of the people looked like they were really in pain. Some of the other people looked like they blacked out and they're just now coming to because they blacked out during the horrible experience they had that they never desired to have. They went into a situation with what they thought was going to be a nice person or a nice thing, and they came out of it the worst possible way. Just beaten and bruised.
We're done after this. This is the end of us.
That's how everybody in the theater looked, though. People couldn't even yawn. They weren't even tired. They were defeated at the end of this fucking movie. I'll tell you the best part, though. I'll tell you the good things. There were like 2 good things in this entire movie that I'll take away from this. At the very top is Jonathan Majors as Kang. I mean, I saw him in Loki, and I'm not a big like Kang stan. I don't know much about Kang, but in Loki I was like, okay, well, this is interesting, whatever. He seems like, okay, if he's going to be in a lot of these movies, this is a neat introduction. And in this movie, I think he did a good job as this version of Kang from this movie.
Force shits. I was like, oh damn, my man's OP.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just technology that he has. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll take that. Sure. He doesn't have powers, but he's just got like advanced tech that allows him to do anything basically. Okay, whatever, sure. But I mean, he was barely in the movie. All everybody kept doing was talking about, oh, there's this guy. You don't fuck with this guy. You do not want a piece of this guy. No. And he was putting in the work when in the flashbacks with him and Michelle Pfeiffer talking about, I'll let you see your daughter again, and you know, do you want to see your family? Because I'll get you. He was really in a movie where effectively nothing happens. Nothing of substance. Like he took it and ran with it, and I really appreciated that. And the actual choreographed fight scenes with him, that's when shit started heating up. I shouldn't say scenes. There was one scene at the very end of the movie where there's like hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, he was ooh.
Yeah.
He was, boy. Scott was getting folded.
I did see a couple of reviews saying like there were shaky cam, where like when he's punching people, like the whole screen shakes and all that.
Yeah.
And like people saying that's kind of a lazy device, that it's just dizzying, but I didn't clock that. I was just excited to see 2 people punching each other finally. Like, oh my God, in a movie where like I'm looking at the worst special effects of the last 3 or 4 years that I've ever seen in like again, $200 million movie, Marvel movie at that. I'm like, this is unacceptable. This
they knew they'd get the money though.
All the other enemies, but they knew they get the money. But like, you got one good fight scene, because what happens in all the other fights?
It was one-sided. Man's was just bow.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
That wasn't a fucking fight. I'm talking about. What about all these little soldiers, like the stormtrooper people?
Oh yeah,
do you remember any of those fights?
They were killing people. People were getting killed. Old girl with the little spear. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but they just get one tapped and then they disintegrate.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's no nothing. There's no time spent on any of that. Yeah, it's like, okay, she's got a spear that makes people disappear, and then the other guy had a laser beam that cuts through everybody in one scene, and then it's like, okay, well, everyone's gone now.
Yo, my man's turned into a bender. He was like, "Bow!" I was like, "Damn."
I was so excited just to see two guys finally beating the shit out of each other. You know, it meant so much to me.
Oh my god!
But his performance was great. And then there was one other thing that I was actually happy with. I'm forgetting now, but that just goes to show that, I mean, there was so little for me to take away from this that I could enjoy.
It was the part with the guy with the hose. It was the hose guy.
That was terrible. And you know, that's the same guy. You remember the last Suicide Squad movie with Idris Elba?
Yeah.
So the gooey guy with the holes, he's the polka dot man guy.
Oh shit.
Yeah. That's like the same story arc as that. Did you notice that? So now that you know it's the same person, he starts out in the beginning, he doesn't doesn't
do
really know his purpose.
Yeah.
And then at the end he's realized his purpose and now he can contribute. It's the same as Polka Dot Man. Except it was way better in Suicide Squad because it's a dumb arc to begin with, and they just killed that motherfucker immediately for a joke that absolutely lands. But in this, what does he do? He like opens up his mouth and somehow he's got like suction now, but he's like open on both sides of his body. Where do the people go? This shit did not make any fucking sense to me. It seemed like just thing after thing in this was like, oh, you guys. It's like they saw like 5 different movies that they really liked and that they had an affinity with. Like they saw Nemo, and then they saw Journey to the Center of the Earth, and then they saw Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and then they saw, like 2 other shitty B films, and then they were like, all right, well, let's get it. There we go. We got all the source material we need.
Why is that kind of accurate though?
To make a subpar film.
And they're like, they just throw some characters in there.
Yes.
Why is that so accurate? Damn.
Oh my god, I was so pissed.
All they're missing is like if they had a musical scene, just one song in there or some shit. I know at least Shark Boy and Lava Girl had one, or if they had like some stray animal that followed them around or something.
Yeah, and like I know, like usually isn't there like a fight sequence with like an entire song that plays like a 2-minute song? Again, there's none of that in this. It's just like the laziest nuts, and it's mainly to do with the special effects falling short and the time crunch, and them not having enough resources to put out a good product. That's really where this all falls on. If the special effects were there, if the resources were there, the time was there, this movie would have been like 10 times better, and it would have actually been a movie and not a punishment to watch. It would have been the story was there, the writing was there, the actors were there, but because they had to splice it so many different ways just to make it all make sense with like the limited resources they had at the time, they cut out all the good stuff and left us with this like piecemeal shitty story where they're like barely explaining anything, where you barely care about anyone, and the next thing you know, you've sat through like a 2-hour movie that you barely care about.
It was beautiful. It was family oriented. He was like, oh, that's my daughter.
This would be a good movie for like a 5-year-old. Like if this is your introduction to the universe, you're like, wow, there's so many places they could go with this. You can only go up for. The problem is I'm not 5. The problem is I've seen 30 of these movies, and this is the mark of a downtrend. The problem is this isn't the first one I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, wow, the possibilities are endless after a movie like this. Where do they go from here? I've never seen special effects like this in my life. Ant-Man, what a neat concept. There's one point where the daughter shrinks down, and Aiden clocked this. He laughed. He's like, bruh, that when she shrinks down in a hallway and runs away from some guards, that shit looked like it was just like, well, you could see the green screen outline around her body for one as she's like running on the ground.
Oh shit!
And then
I even noticed.
And then two, it just looked like one of those things. You remember the app on your phone where it was like action effects or whatever, where it'd be like a bunch of guns would come out and like shoot, and then you had to like fake like you're being shot, or like a bomb would land but you line it up with the street to make it look like an explosion happened. That's what that girl looked like when she was running. It looked like one of those where it's like insert here.
They're trying to save money. All right, they're trying to save money. They got
this is Disney we're talking about. This is Disney.
I told you their stocks are going down.
It doesn't matter. That's when you re-up. That's when you're just like, okay, well, let's double the budget of this, make it really good, win everybody's trust back. You don't just break even. You break even and you keep breaking even, you're going to see what happens. Nobody's going to come to your shitty fucking movies anymore. And it's going to be too late to gain everybody's trust back. The only people's trust you're going to hold are the people in China, because these are the only movies they're allowed to watch anyways. Yeah, it's going to be the people in other countries. But your main consumer base, y'all, it's dwindling, and y'all better figure this shit out. There's only so many 5-year-olds you can win over with some shit like this. And guess who's buying them tickets? It's mommy and daddy paying for the ticket. They want to be able to watch these movies too. It's not little Jimmy and Susie.
They're not actually paying for it.
They're not, yeah. If mom and dad don't like this shit anymore, they're gonna be like, well, we're gonna watch John Wick 4, Billy. That's a real man's movie right here. They know what they're doing. It's well choreographed. It's on point. We're done with this bullshit that they keep force feeding us.
We won't stand for this shit.
You do not stand for this in this household. No, what did you like about that? Seriously, what did you like about that movie? Because I really am curious.
I didn't think it was a bad movie. You appreciated
the jokes? You mentioned that dick joke, or like, I'm not a dick anymore. That was so
my name's
tired.
Aaron and I'm not a dick.
When they're in the middle of a battle, right? And she's huge, and she looks down at him, and she's like, "You don't have to be a dick all your life, or whatever." That shit was so stupid. Shit made me mad. I was like, I got a migraine from that. Right then and there, my head started throbbing. My body had an immune response to that shit, like you wouldn't believe. I became ill.
I just thought it was like, it wasn't hilarious, but I was like, that's a little humorous moment.
I didn't even chuckle. I threw up in my mouth. I had like acid reflux with that. And then there was another one before that. The holes shit. I'm like, oh my God. If y'all talk about another hole.
The holes were funny.
It wasn't.
I counted. Funny. He was like, how many holes you got? I was like,
that was funny. What, him counting it and pausing for 4 seconds? Don't bring that shit up again. I don't want to hear about it again. You hit the mark. You did it. A couple people chuckled in the theater. I heard it. It worked. But then they keep going on about holes for the rest of the fucking movie. I'm like, ooh. And then the shit with the goo things.
Oh my God. No.
There was just so much of this movie.
This shit was. It was.
See it for yourself. I don't give a fuck. Go watch the thing. Let me know how you.
Go watch the movie. Tell us what y'all think in the comments. Look, I don't know. I rest my case this shit. It wasn't. I want to say it wasn't bad. It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad. Like it
Watch this
wasn't a
shit on
terrible.
Disney Plus. I will give it a rewatch. They're not going to touch shit up. They're not going to fix anything. And you're going to, now that I've mentioned all this, you're going to see it. You're going to see it.
It wasn't a terrible movie.
You had your blinders on.
Okay.
You went in there like a good fan, hoping to see something good, a watchable product. And you have Stockholm Syndrome. You're taken by the source material, by the by the intellectual property. It wasn't. This was halfway decent at best. If you were gonna rate this movie, what would you rate this movie out of 10? A scale from 1 to 10.
It was a real. So like
1 to 10.
between I want to say
2056 is what I give this fucking movie on a scale. This was unacceptable.
From 1 to 10? I want to say between 6 and 8. I would have said 8 initially, but now
y'all look at my face.
Adding
when he said 8, my jaw dropped. I didn't want to hear 8 anywhere near this conversation in any context. You said 6 to what? Where do you put Iron Man then? Iron Man 1, where do you put Avengers? Where do you put any of the good movies at?
You're higher too.
I didn't. What?
Fine, I give it a 6. Damn.
What?
I'm not comparing it. I'm just putting it in a place.
That's unacceptable. This movie was a 4.
I knew you were gonna say that. But you're thinking about other movies. I'm just thinking about
all the issues I had with this. I'm thinking about how at not one point did I feel like any stakes. I was just looking at it like, okay, what's going on? Like the point where he's going to get the fucking thing and he's in there. I'm just kind of like looking at it like,
I'm not gonna lie, that was like what? But then he had the little Dairy Queen version of him, and it was just like one.
Yeah, the Baskin Robbins thing, but still, why is that just one of that? Shouldn't there be like, shouldn't they not all be in suits? Shouldn't there be like a couple Baskin Robbins guys at least, or shouldn't there be like a Dairy Queen version too? You know, like shouldn't there be like there should have been a lot more different versions of him for that to work, right? Not just all the same version of him that's Ant-Man in the suit, and then the one version of him that's in his job uniform for some reason.
That's what made it funnier though, because there's only one.
It didn't make it funnier. It proved how lazy it was, and it proved how I'm serious. What it just proves is that how little resources they had to work with. That they're like, okay, we have this one asset we can use over and over and over again, and then for this joke, we really want to make a joke that like there's a different version of himself that's regular. So, but we can only put one in. We can't afford to duplicate that one, or make like other fringe versions either, because we really don't. We don't have the energy right now. We don't have the bandwidth because of Black Panther and because of all the other shit we're working on right now. It's sad. It's sad to look, and it's sad to be like, this shit is becoming. Not only is it becoming nonsensical, and the jokes are becoming parodies of themselves, you know, like it's the same shit we've seen over and over again, but now done more and more poorly. But it's like, it's sad to look at how they're hamstringing everybody, you know, for what? Because they don't have money. They have plenty of fucking money.
They do got money.
These greedy bitches. It's like, just spend the money where you need to. Take the time where you need to. Nobody was like shitting themselves to see Ant-Man this badly. It's
I
like,
just want to see it to like so I can match up with so when the movie comes out, then I know it. So I'm kept up. I know it's exactly what's going on. You
yeah.
know,
No,
to
me
when like the
too. Me too. Yeah, I
King
was seeing with my
Dynasty and stuff.
family. It was perfect. You know, I was like, okay, we get this. Nice. There's a
Yeah,
Marvel movie out. Let's go check it out. And I was so sad after. I was like, wow, that was.
you know.
Ugh. I've never
No,
been
I'm excited
happier
for
to get
some
out of
movies
a.
though.
I've never been happier to get out of a Marvel movie and breathe fresh air again. That was the
No,
first time, like in the movie theater for a Marvel movie, where I finally got outside and I was like, oh, thank God, finally,
I
the sun.
uh, uh,
You know,
I don't know. I wouldn't say all that. Like I
I'm
don't know.
telling you, I know I exaggerated, but nobody in the theater when everyone got up and after they sat through the credits to see the end scene, which was
Yeah,
goofy in a fun way, you know. It was goofy in the way the whole movie should have been goofy, not in like the dumb.
just like the small parts.
Yeah, but even after all that, after the setup for the next, this whole movie felt like a setup for the next movie in the worst way. In that, like, this was just all an afterthought. Like, no attention to detail or real care went into it, not on the level that you come to expect from these movies, at least, right? And then just to set up this one villain in this really underwhelming way with like no stakes whatsoever. Nobody died. You guys, newsflash, everyone's okay. Everyone that you cared about is okay. There's one character that dies that's the butt of every joke and is really just terrible. He's terrible to look at. He's terrible to listen to. And he's a part of the single worst joke in the entire movie, the dick thing, right? He's the only
Yeah, I
character
know.
that dies.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, but when he first showed up, it was cool. It was like, oh, Modoc's here and he's shooting shit. He's fucking shit up. And then they're like, Darren, he's like, my name is Modoc. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Uh,
Also, he
yeah.
didn't really even kill anything or anyone, too. You know, he
He was
just
killing, he was shooting people. He was killing people.
not really though. I mean, like it's.
He did, I mean, he couldn't kill Cassie, but like
I know he couldn't
he
kill
killed.
them because they were supposed to keep them alive, but this I don't know. All of this just kind of felt toothless. The craziest parts were with Jonathan Majors at the helm, like him in the interrogation, like I'm gonna kill your daughter right here. I'm gonna do it.
Oh yeah,
That's what grounded everything and brought it back and like
yeah.
made you feel like there were real
He
stakes.
he's good, yeah. And then when he betrayed him, I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, damn, he seemed like a man of his word, honestly.
Yeah.
He was like, she's better without you. I was like, oh nah, son wildin'.
So
Son wildin'. How
I
you
don't know,
gonna
but
do
nobody
that?
at the end of the movie with all the reveals, whatever, it was just everyone was tired, everyone was worn and exhausted, and it was just I saw a lot of people shrugging and like what it was like shaking their head, like no, and I felt the same. I was like, wow, everyone, and it was silent. It was like a death march leaving the. I'm serious. Like you're kidding. And it sounds funny to say, but it was like the first real time where everyone was just disappointed.
No, people were like, some people were excited. So it wasn't as excited as it could get for theaters, but there were moments that people were excited. They're like, oh, and
Mm-hmm.
like they laughed at the Bill Murray thing, and
So
yeah,
people did laugh at the first joke or like one of the joke he made, like he made a sex joke or whatever,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that got some laughter or whatever. But everything else that was going on in that conversation, it was like, what is happening? Why do we care about this person at all? Freedom
Yeah,
fighters against what? For what? In what context? That was a comic book character for real. It was that they shoehorned in there in the same way they did for MODOK, and they gave like no no real good backstory, not enough to where you care about them at all whatsoever. It's just the setup for like a couple sex jokes, and then bye bye, see you later. It wasn't really a vehicle for anything other than for them to hijack his ship. They could have hijacked anybody's ship and skipped the entire cameo. It just seemed like a waste of time.
They fucking what's his face them? I'm trying to think of some Star Wars shit where that happened. I don't know. But I'm sure it's happened.
Oh boy.
Damn though.
Anyways, we're going a little long here. We've really been recording since 6:30, if you don't count all the crashes.
The brief intermissions.
So
it's like a play that L&C played today.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. You're hitting better points than I am for. If this was like a legal case, my client would have lost. I'd be like, hey, you know what,
that was just
bro?
my takeaway, though. That's just raw honesty that I'm coming at this with. I'm coming at this from a perspective of somebody who wants to enjoy these movies, too, which is what's even more defeating for me. It's like, I went into this wanting to have a good time, wanting to like this shit, and I'm looking at it like, for a good 70% of it, I'm really just like scratching my head like, this made it past the cutting room floor, this joke made it in here, this special effects made it in here, this line made it in here, this character is in here for more than 5 seconds. For why?
Oh my god.
The shit with the guy who is a telepath,
to read minds, yeah.
That joke would have been so much better, right? It's these little cheap workarounds that they did. It would have been so much better if the sound it made was different, or like if it was barely a sound, if it was like a low rumble or something, like, you know, like a force sound, you know.
Yeah.
But because it was like every time and loud as fuck and like tacky, it ruined the whole thing. It's like, does he really even read minds? It made me question his superpowers. Like, is he reading minds, or was this just a joke the whole time? Is this just a setup for a shitty joke? It's like, I'm not watching SNL. I'm not watching like a low budget sketch comedy where they're hurriedly rushing to set up the next set in the background. But that's what this felt like. It felt like they were piecemealing a bunch of shit together in the worst possible way to deliver the worst product. And it felt like the whole movie was a joke.
Damn. Maybe that's how they were. I don't know why they were like that, because like I said, they just put out Black Panther and Avatar.
I liked Black Panther a lot. There's people who criticize that movie. That
shit was absolutely phenomenal. There was nothing wrong with that anywhere.
I agree.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that anywhere.
There were a couple special effects blunders, but the whole movie on a whole, this shit looked stunning. It looked beautiful.
Yeah.
I had no problem with it. I loved Angela Bassett in it. They should not have killed her. Wrong move. Maybe she wanted out. I don't know, but man,
they had to make well, Shuri probably could have been a Black Panther either way, but I don't know if she would have did it if she wasn't pushed.
I don't think they want her to, because she's like anti-vax or whatever, and she's kind of like problematic to be around.
I don't know what they're doing. I'm not gonna lie. I was surprised that they did that. They made
her little brother, or sorry, her nephew is the new king now, right? So
yeah.
He's the new Black Panther. And they're setting up the whole Young Avengers thing that way. So I think this is Shuri's last big contribution to the to the MCU.
Maybe that's it. Because they got Ironheart now too.
They have Ironheart. So they're gonna have who else? I think they're gonna have Miles Morales and one of the next Spider-Man ones, because they set up Donald Glover as the Prowler.
This is cool, yeah.
And then they who the fuck else? Oh well, there's the Ant-Man's daughter, Cassie.
Oh yeah,
She's in
Cassie.
it. There's Miss Marvel. She's got her
Yeah,
own show. I mean, so they're setting all this shit up, right? But man,
that's what I'm expecting. That's why I'm watching them. So I'm like, I'm caught up. I know what's going on.
yeah.
That's how they get you.
So
I I only saw the first two episodes of the first. I saw the first one or two episodes of She-Hulk, and I saw the first one or two episodes
I
of
haven't watched
Moon Knight.
She-Hulk. I'm too nervous. It looks way too bad.
No, I saw the first few episodes of She-Hulk and Moon Knight, and I might finish them before the team. If a team movie comes out, I'll probably binge watch both just so I'm like caught up.
Yeah.
So like I don't miss nothing that might be referenced in the movie.
I'm gonna still watch all these, and I'm gonna still hate myself for it, but I probably won't watch every one in theaters after this.
Nah,
I probably
the team ones.
Yeah.
So any of the Spider-Man and the team movies, I'll probably watch in theaters.
Yeah.
But the solo ones is questionable. Like Ant-Man, if Kang wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't have watched it in theaters.
It was a cool concept too. Okay, here's this guy. He's been exiled, and he's badass. So what is he gonna do in his spare time when he's exiled? He's gonna just fucking rule everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what he does.
That's awesome. Great.
Yeah.
And then they get sucked down in there because he realizes there's an outside communication, and this is his way out. Great. Spend more time on the dynamic between them. Spend more time on the villain and how badass he is. I don't know. You'd think they had such a good thing with him and how good of a job he was doing that they'd spend more time on him, but no, it's just all these dumb fucking jokes and making jokes about people's appearances and shit. It's like, okay, we've all seen Star Wars. We know that aliens look weird and that they can. We get it. Please.
Oh my God.
Like, give me a
True.
break.
The one dude that looks like a broccoli.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was supposed to be funnier than more action because, like, I don't know.
I think it was supposed to be funnier too. The problem was it wasn't. The problem was 70% of the humor was not funny.
Yeah, it could have been funnier.
It's very lazy.
I will give it that.
It's just like, oh my God, make this funny or don't.
They're struggling. They need help.
Yeah.
I don't know
why. I don't know why they need help with as much money as they have. That's what makes even less sense. That's the point I'll keep hitting home over and over again. It doesn't make any sense. Why do they need help? This isn't some indie operation. This isn't Cam Chow Part 2. I'm not making this out of my backyard. Or I need a little bit of help in the writing department. I might need to consult some people. No, I mean they lift a finger and they can get the best writers, the best anything they need. But the problem is they're not, and I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. They have all the resources they need. So anyways, I'm looking forward to the next one. I'll be seeing it in theaters. I'll pre-order my tickets as soon as they go on sale because I'm a simp, because I want these movies to do well. I am a real fan. I don't want these to be bad. I expect them to be good, and that's my problem, I guess. I shouldn't expect them to all be good. I should expect
keep your expectations low.
Yeah, I know, right?
What is the next one anyway? I don't even know.
I don't either. I think it's Blade. I really do.
Word? Who's gonna play Blade?
It's Mahershala Ali. It's
Ooh.
You know him?
It sounds familiar.
He was in Daredevil. He was the like the crime boss guy in Daredevil.
I only saw the first episode of Daredevil.
He was in Green Book.
Oh yeah.
He's in a lot. He was in a lot of shit 2 years ago. He was in like every single show and movie.
His name definitely sounds familiar. I'll probably see him in
No, he worked his ass off 2 years ago, where he was in like every commercial. He was in